Evolutionary podcast giving away episode 479. Stevesmi and the Rickster, Ricky V. Rock, coming to you with another rehash episode. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, Gas? How's everybody doing out there? Yeah, I'm really enjoying doing these rehash episodes. I think for this summertime in the Northern Hemisphere, it's definitely a time where these nice, long, almost 2-hour podcasts would come in handy. If you guys are just laying out at the beach, just hanging out, barbecue, whatever you're doing, and you just want to get in your ear pods and just listen to some good content, good, interesting content. This is it, guys. This is a good kind of summer podcast we got going on here. So the one I'm going to offer today is steroids for women. I think this podcast particularly is a good podcast for women and some of the newer, younger guys coming on the scene. I think these two are really going to help and inform people. So podcast 378 is my pick for today, steroids for women. What else you got, Steve?
Another one we want to do is very important, and it's going to be steroids for newbies, episode 374. It's important to me because your first cycle is really, really an important one. And it's something you're never going to forget. I remember my first cycle. I'll always remember it. You're going to feel so different on it, and you're going to have such tremendous results that you want to run it the right way. Because if you don't run it the right way, you could end up being fitted for a bra. You could end up just looking like a bloated fish. You could end up injuring yourself. You could end up really disappointing yourself. You could end up with fake gear. There's so many things that can go wrong on a first cycle. And if you screw up your first cycle, you can never go back and redo it. Unfortunately, unless you have a time machine, okay? There's just no way. So you've got to do it the right way. Your first cycle is so important. So episode 374 to me is near and dear to my heart, because one of the things I like to do is help newbies out there have a successful first cycle. Very, very important to me to help all the newbies out there. And if you're a newbie, this is one for you to listen to.
374, 378. Without further ado,
podcasting away. This is episode 378, compound episode, guys. Remember, the even episodes are compounds, the odd episodes are Q&A. Stevesmi here and the Rickster. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, guys? How's everybody doing out there?
So in this episode, we're going to talk about females. This is going to be females. All you guys listening to this is going to be for you to gain knowledge. So your current girlfriend, future girlfriend, they want to kind of get into PEDs. They want to improve themselves. It seems like every girl I date, she becomes obsessed with fitness because of me, and that kind of rubs off on her. So this is a good opportunity for you guys to gain your knowledge. Female listeners, this is the only podcast I'm aware of that we're actually going to cover your stuff, female from top to bottom, and we're going to talk about everything regarding female PEDs, best steroids to use, best SARMs to use. So, let's hit it. Rick, the first one we're going to talk about is Anavar Alexandralone. This is the most common anabolic steroid for females to use. So Anavar is a dry compound. It's got low side effects. It doesn't cause the viralization if you run it properly that other steroids do. That's really the good part of why a lot of females like to use it. The bad part, though, Rick, is that it's heavily fake. So if you do choose to use it and you report back some bad things that happen to you, there's a good chance that you were using fake Anavar. So you want to make sure you always use top quality Anavar from a trusted source. So if you come on the forums, you'll be able to find a trusted source. And so many horror stories over the years from women who have run fake Anavar, and it's really been something else. And you don't want to do that. So make sure that you run it. But I'll bring in Rick early on this. But look, the dosage, if it's your first time running it, 5 milligrams a day is completely okay. You can go up to 10 milligrams a day. Some women run it even higher. but I think 5 to 10 milligrams a day for a woman, let's say a 6, 7, or 8 week cycle, is fantastic. And you'll have tremendous results on that dosage. And things where women are reporting is they're reporting really good strength gains, really good lean muscle mass, and really, really good fat loss too. So you hit the trifecta with Anavar, and it's a really, really good steroid. And really, the side effects, if you run it properly and you're getting real Anavar, are very low. So, it's low for men. Men usually run Anavar 40, 50, 60 milligrams a day and report very little to no side effects. For women, it's the same way. Probably the only side effect that's most obvious, and this is true of anabolic steroid use, is the liver effects, the kidney effects. Those are very real side effects. So you want to make sure you're running your liver support, your TUDCA, your N2Guard. N2Guard already has liver support. 7 or 8 different supplements within N2Guard are for the liver, including TUDCA. It's got kidney support as well. So anytime you run anabolic steroids, even if it has low side effects, it's still going to put pressure on your liver and your kidney. So very important to use your support supplements when you're on it. And don't run the N2Guard near the Anavar. That's something that you've mentioned before, Rick. So tell us a little bit about that, and tell us your thoughts on Anavar for women. Pros and cons.
So when it comes to Anavar for women, it's the only steroid that I advise any females use. It's actually very mild, doesn't really cause a lot of hair growth, doesn't really cause a lot of problems with thickening of the voice. The only real side effect that some women will experience on Anavar is it could thicken the skin a bit, maybe make some acne a little bit worse. But it's probably that one that most women will be able to use, get incredible results from it, and not really have any bad side effects. Unless you're like a female competitor and really stepping on stage and you need to just look a lot better in single digit body fat percentage compared to the other girls, you might not need anything else. You might be able to just do Anavar cycle after Anavar cycle and be fine on it. I've known some fitness girls that have stayed on Anavar 5 to 10 mgs a day for months and months and months. At that dosing, 5, 10 mgs, you're not beating up your liver as bad. Even though you're a female and your muscles and other tissues in your body can only take so much androgens before they begin to change and you become more masculine. When it comes to your liver, definitely your body can handle 5, 10 milligrams of methylated steroids longer than it could without severe damage, longer than it could doing 40, 50 milligrams of the same steroid the way a man would. So obviously you can, as a female, run the cycle a little bit longer. And the same concerns when it comes to post-cycle therapy are in there. Definitely use N2Guard and the number 2 guard, Guard, N2Guard.com. If you're going to use Anavar, make sure you protect your liver by using N2Guard. That'll definitely, it's a must. But it's just a good steroid. Women, at the doses that women use, you can run it way longer. Side effects are pretty mild, except for some females will experience their skin will look more textured, a little bit thicker while they're on the Anavar. Anavar was prescribed to burn victims. It does have an effect on your skin. Very profound too, if you're prone to that side effect. If you already have some gyno, if you already have larger pores in your skin, during the time that you're taking the Anavar, you'll notice a bit of a change there, maybe a bit of a rougher texture, especially if you're slamming, sun on top of that to darken your skin tone. You'll definitely notice some of those side effects.
What's interesting is I actually read a thread today from a female who said she had acne issues and she used Anavar and the acne issues went away and she wasn't sure why. So that's interesting that you said that. Why do you think that happened?
Could be different things, maybe her hormones, natural hormones before the Anavar were leading her to get some acne issues, and the Anavar somehow stabilized that.
But you mentioned skin.
Yeah.
The skin connection. So you think it could have improved her skin in this particular situation?
In her particular case, it could have improved it, yes. In maybe other cases, it could make it worse. But Anavar has an effect on the skin, very profound. It was my prescription for some burn victims. It does help the skin, and so again, some people might see their skin worsen, not like the effects it has. Other people might see an improvement from it. It really depends on your genetics and what condition you are having before you started using the drug.
All right, guys. So the second one is oral Primobolan for females. This is a very popular one as well. And in Primobolan, you can find it in injectable and oral. I've had female clients who have used injectable, but I'm always, first to put them on the oral. And I'll tell you why. The oral Primobolan is not liver toxic, and it doesn't absorb very well. So it's safer because there's low absorption with it. So it's much weaker than the injectable just for that reason. So females using oral Primobolan, they can run it. They don't have to inject, which is a big taboo. I know it'd freak me out if I walked in on my girlfriend and she's injecting steroids. It would freak me out. But if she was taking the oral, it wouldn't freak me out. So if you have a boyfriend or something or a girlfriend and having needles around the house freaks them out, it's just kind of like a taboo thing. So I completely understand this. But oral Primobolan, there's been really good reports out of it. And the results are similar to the Anavar. It's similar to the Anavar and even less side effects than the Anavar because, like I said, it's not liver toxic. So you may experience even less issues on it. So it is kind of expensive. I mean, you can buy a blister of 15 tabs, and that's going to cost you over $100. And the tabs are 50 milligrams per tab. So it's not cheap. So let's hypothetically in this situation, let's say you spent like $100, $120 and you got 15 tabs at 50 milligrams. You cut those tabs in half. That's 25 milligrams. That'll last you a month. So, it can get kind of pricey. You're talking a little over $100 for a month's worth of Primobolan, and you can run it, let's say 8 weeks, and it would cost you, that's not too bad. Anavar is for a female dosage. Anavar would be a similar price. If I can kind of look at the Anavar prices. Anavar can cost you more money. Like 100 tabs of Anavar at 10 milligrams a day is almost $200. So, it's pricey. They're both pricey, for sure. But those are really good options for females. So I think some of the results with females at that dosage, running 25 milligrams a day, you can get some really, really good results, Rick. Very similar to the Anavar. Some low sides, some strength improvements. For a female, it's going to be strong. I wouldn't recommend oral Primo for a man because it's so weak. But for a female, it's just the right amount of strength to really give you good results. Lean muscle mass. You'll get some fat. You'll notice maybe you get more cut on it. Is it like actually burning fat on your body? No, of course not. It's not directly burning fat, but it will make you look more cut and more lean because of what it kind of does in the body when it comes to giving you that sharper and harder look. So I think oral Primo is one that a lot of women kind of don't do anymore. I think 5 years ago, Rick, 10 years ago, oral Primo was one of the most popular steroids for females. And now you barely hear about it. So, but from the female clients that I've dealt with, they really, really enjoy it. They have really, really good results. So, I think it's a good option, oral Primo for females. It works really good. What do you think?
Well, Primo, when compared to Anavar, which we just discussed, it's going to have some side effects that you won't really see with Anavar. For example, oral Primo, or Primo in general, even injectable, will tend to make women lose hair a little bit quicker than they would see on something like Anavar. Also, the voice might thicken a little bit, which you may not see with Anavar. All Primo is way more expensive. You always run the risk if you use an underground lab that they might switch out the compound and give you something that is maybe not suitable for a female. And yes, your money's not going that long of a way if you spend it on Oral Primo. Anavar and Oral Primo stack is something I've seen women use going up to competition. Serious female competitors will stack those two. Sometimes they'll add a little bit of Winstrol in there too for good measure to flush out some water. And they'll stack those three together. Not very common for just a recreational using female, but pretty standard practice for pre-competition, high-level competitors, females, to just run small doses of the three of these. They all have kind of different effects in a way, like the Primobolan might be the better mass gainer out of Primo and Anavar. You could get on a pretty strict caloric deficit, and as long as you're training hard enough, that Primobolan might help you gain a couple of extra pounds of muscle, even on a caloric deficit. As crazy as that sounds, you'll just burn more fat if you push your body to that degree. Anavar, you'll get more cut, you'll retain more of your mass, but will it build that much mass if you're restricting calories? Probably not. Only steroid that we've known through bro folklore, I don't know what to call it, to bro science, bro knowledge, to build mass on a caloric deficit is the Primobolan. Some of the other stronger stuff, you need to eat enough to gain some mass on it. So oral Primo for women, not bad. Not bad if the female taking it is not prone to losing their hair. It should be a pretty damn good steroid. And if you don't suffer any of the side effects, hair loss, thickening of the voice on the Primo, it may be a better option for you in your particular case than the Anavar would be. I think a female that can handle Oral Primo without the side effects being too much will be happier using the Oral Primo than they would the Anavar. The Primo, just more mass, probably keep a lot more of that mass on a really strict caloric deficit and good strength gains. I mean, it's a good overall product.
Another one that I have to add as well is Tbol Turinabol. In the East German female team, starting in the 60s, they actually ran Tbol, and they were able to be very successful at it. And it's been written, I'm actually looking at some articles now, that they actually used them from the 1960s all the way up till the end of the 80s, while the Soviet Union, USSR, was occupying East Germany. So that was their thing. So a lot of women, again, they shy away from Tbol. Oh, I'm scared of Tbol. But I think the Tbol, if you run like 5-10 milligrams a day, 5 milligrams a day, start. I think if you're really hardcore, and experienced, it can give you some nice results. So don't forget about Tbol. I think Tbol deserves an honorable mention on this.
Very low dose on the Tbol. For a female, what do you think? 5 mgs, no more per day on the Tbol?
Yeah, I'd start with 5, because for a guy, I know I've run 30 and I've gotten good results. So if I'm running 30, then you running 5 is good as a female.
I'd be afraid of females. I mean, with Anavar being available and Oral Primo being a possibility, and even Winstrol being a good possibility, and then SARMs, all of that, I probably would be too afraid to advise any female to use Turinabol. At least any recreational user, high level competitor, working with a coach that has brought other women and made winners and champions on stage. Different story, but just recreational users, just somebody trying to look good. Probably I'd keep them away from Turinabol, and I would advise them on Anavar or Primo or even Winstrol. or SARMs before I'd hit Turinabol. Just my opinion on females that way.
All right, so speaking of SARMs, let's talk about SARMs. Best female SARMs use. Here's a good rule of thumb on SARMs. A lot of females get confused on dosages. If you go on forums and you read articles and stuff, I would basically say for SARMs, if you just run half the dose that you see recommended for men, example, you see 20 milligrams recommended for men to use RAD 140. So for a female, using 10 milligrams a day would work fine. Same thing with LGD. You see 10 to 20 milligrams for men. So with females, 5 to 10 milligrams will work fine. And also your size. If you're 100 pound or 110 pound, very petite female, obviously using a smaller dosage is all you need. You don't have to run a lot. So the exception to the rule is, I think, GW Cardarine. In that situation, because it's not a hormone, it's not hormonal at all in your body. So in that situation, running the full 20 milligram dose is perfectly fine. It's not going to affect you. So I think for a female, really, an LGD and a Cardarine stack, doing LGD 5 milligrams and Cardarine 20 milligrams, if you want to cut and you want to put on good quality lean muscle mass, I think that's a good, solid SARM stack. That would be my number one SARM stack for a female. If you just want to cut and just want to improve your endurance, just do Cardarine by itself. There's nothing wrong with just doing Cardarine by itself. So that would be my choice for women. I think that's very simple because RAD is a little more stronger than LGD. So maybe it's not so much of a good idea for a female unless you're really, really advanced. Kind of like the Tbol example we used. And then you have something like S4 androgen, which is also a SARM, and it does cause vision side effects. So a lot of women are obsessed over their vision more than men. Men are just like, screw it. If it screws my vision up, I don't care. Women are much more in tune with their bodies. They care more about their bodies. Men are more reckless. So as a female, do you want to mess something that causes vision issues? You may not. So just keep that in mind with S4. But SARMs are good options because of the low side effects with SARMs. And if you're using legitimate SARMs, you should not have these side effects that some people report on SARMs because they were using fake SARMs that were really pro-hormone. So, Rick, I'll let you, I'll give your thoughts on SARMs.
Well, SARMs have less of the side effects that are undesirable for women when it comes to using performance-enhancing drugs. You won't get any of the hair loss, deepening of the voice you won't get, additional hair growth you won't get. Problem is with SARMs, and I've said this on the podcast many times, all these drugs are fairly new. We don't know what could and would happen down the line using them. Not like Anavar that's been around since 1964, 67. I mean, same thing with Primobolan. Since the 1960s, we've been using it. We know pretty well what's going to happen. SARMs, some of them have only been available for use for the regular kind of underground market for the less than 10 years. So saying that out of the way, I think for a female, Osterin and GW, great stack. I think that's probably one of the best SARM stacks anybody can use is Osterin and GW. If you want some more strength, LGD could definitely be thrown on top of that. Some of the other stuff like YK11, S23, I'm not really big on. I think if you're going to do that and go that far into it, might as well use some Anavar. Might as well just do it. It's just a better option. While Osterin and GW and LGD have a decent effect on their own, I feel as though maybe some of the other ones are just weaker steroids. So that's kind of my idea on it. I think any female making good gains on Anavar will see comparable gains and progress and better fat loss. Definitely better fat loss. Stacking Osterin with GW, maybe throwing a little bit of LGD on top of that. Two good products from my store for women are Entuslin and Bridge. Bridge, you can find at needtobuildmuscle.com. Bridge product is excellent for women. 3 capsules per day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening. Helps your mood, helps your pumps in the gym, helps you just gain more mass, more strength. It's a good product. And then Entuslin helps so that the calories in your meals will mostly be stored in your muscles, become new muscle, and won't be stored as fat. So Entuslin, 1 to 3 capsules, about 30 to 45 minutes before each meal, depending on how many carbohydrates in that meal. Bridge, 3 times a day with meals. It's a good product. Those are 2 great products women will see great effects on. And then you can throw some Anavar or Oral Primo or Ostrin GW combination, I've said, or you could throw any different things on top of that. But those are just 2. That's my whole spiel on SARMs in women. I mean, you want to use some good natural supplements along with the SARMs. And if you're going to go with YK11 S23, maybe try that Anavar. Why not?
So I have to add as well, Rick, women produce their testosterone differently from men. For men, it's Leydig cells. From women, it's ovaries. So PCT is going to be different for women. And when you're using anabolic steroids for men, it's going to shut men down. So men have to run a PCT to kind of give themselves a soft landing. For women, it's different. So with women, the way you want to approach PCT is more organ health, more stress reducing, because it can be stressful coming off. So those supplements that Rick mentioned, those are really good options for females in PCT. Don't just come off and not run something for PCT, because there is an effect on your kidneys, on your liver. Even though you're running something like oral Primobolan, for example, and it's not liver toxic, it still affects the liver. Just because it's not liver toxic doesn't mean it doesn't affect the liver. SARMs, same thing. They're not liver toxic on paper, but because we're running an exorbitant amount of the PED, we're not running it for therapeutic reasons, we're running it as a PED, it's still going to have an effect on the liver. And we've seen that from blood work. SARMs do affect the liver. So you definitely want to run liver support when you're on it. And also in PCT, if you run liver support, it's doubly effective to do that. So I think herbals as well. Running herbals in PCT for a female can really help, because you may on cycle feel a boost in libido. And when you come off, you'll have a little crash where your libido comes back down. And it's like, whoa, that big drop can really mess with your head. So I think running herbals in PCT, the Fedosia, the Tribulus, the fenugreeks, the Divinol, all those herbs, and something like N2 which has all those herbs, can really, really help you as a female. And you can run on 3-4 caps a day of the N2 You don't have to run the full 5 caps. And I think that you'll really, really feel better during PCT by doing this. Anything final thoughts on that, Rick?
Definitely for women, N2 it's a great product. Also, creatine for women, great stuff to use. L-glutamine for women, great stuff to use. I have a good creatine product called Ancient Strength in my store. Go to needtobuildmuscle.com. Take creatine, girls. If you have a girlfriend, she's wants to get into some supplements, have her take some creatine first, see how she feels on that before she uses anything else. And for females, the Entuslin and Bridge stack from my store, perfect stack. It works incredible. You get some very, very good results on it. And you can throw steroids on top of that later on. So you can try Entuslin and Bridge, stack them together. Entuslin will keep you leaner, build more muscle. Bridge will give you more strength, more size, more drive. Use those 2. And then you can, on your second or third bottle, throw a little bit of Anavar on top of that. Throw a little bit of SARMs on top of that. You could run them along with your cycle. The Bridge is a really great product for females. It's an incredible product for females. We've developed that for men as a bridge product that men can use in between cycles, something that'll give them comparable to some of the good effects they get from steroids without the side effects. So Bridge has ingredients in there to help you get a great muscle pump. Bridge has ingredients in there to help you just feel more motivated, more driven to hit the gym. It has ingredients in there to help your endurance. It has ingredients in there to also help you recover along the lines of a post-cycle therapy style, just good herbs, strong herbs to help libido and help testosterone production. It was just it's a product we developed for men to take in between cycles. And over the years, more and more women have been using Bridge, and they love it. It's just a great, great product for females as well. Some women use Bridge and don't use any steroids because they feel it just gives them that boost that they need. So I definitely Bridge and Entoslin, Ancient Strength, if you're throwing some creatine in there. That's the female trifecta. If you're looking to you yourself as a female, or you want to help your old lady, your wife, your girlfriend make some more progress in the gym, and you're not ready to let them take any steroids, take those three in a stack: Entoslin, Bridge, and Ancient Strength. And, that female is going to make some really, really good progress very quickly. You guys will be real happy with it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen listening to this, we appreciate you guys listening. Hope you learned a lot. If you have more questions, you can hit us up, evolutionary.org. Steve SMI, always available for you. Consultations, if you need them, off the site. If you have a question, post a thread. I will respond to it. Rick, how can they get a hold of you if they want to reach you?
Go to rickyvrock.com. That's RICKY. V as in victory, ROCK.com. There you'll be able to find my social. Just join. Message me anytime you want. Also, if you want to hit me up direct, go to rickyvrock@gmail. RICKY. V as in victory, ROCK@gmail. Just hit me up. Any questions, any concerns, any content you'd like to see on the show. If you need a short consultation to help you figure out what kind of supplements for my store you need or what you should be doing with your cycle, no problem. Just hit me up, and I'm always available. I'm always around. I'll give anybody 15 minutes of my time if they really need it.
All right, guys. This was episode 378. Talk to you guys next week with another one. Have a good one.
Have a good one, Steve. Have a good one, guys.
The required legal disclaimer: we are only sharing our experience from years of steroid use. We are not doctors, and none of what we say should be regarded as medical advice. Always check with your doctor before taking any drugs or starting any training program.
Evolutionary.org podcast coming your way. This is number 374, guys. So our steroid series continues. Stevesmi here and the Rickster in the house.
Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, guys? How's everybody doing out there?
Good. All right, guys. So our steroid series continues, guys, where we classify steroids. The next steroid classification we're going to talk about is newbie steroids. So these are steroids that we recommend newbies mess with. They're going to be more mild. They're going to be more safe. There's going to be less room for error. And having said that, my opinion, guys, there is no safe steroid. Anabolic steroids are serious business. They're very, very strong hormones. They do a lot of things in the body. Okay, they do a lot of things in the body. So you really need to be careful when you use steroids. They're going to shut you down. So you must make sure you run the proper ancillaries, you run your liver support, you run your kidney support, you run a PCT, and then that can make a much smoother situation for you. And also, in my opinion, you should be closer to 30 years old before you touch steroids. Some guys say over 21, some guys say over 25. I say closer to 30 because that's when you're really more mature, you put in the years, and you're ready for steroids. So that is my opinion. Of course, you've got guys these days, in a much higher percentage that are using steroids at a much younger age. There's guys in their even late teens that are using steroids. So not really a smart idea, guys. So steroids are definitely serious business no matter what.
Yeah, 5 to 8 years of natural training you want before you start messing with steroids. And natural training doesn't just mean having a gym membership for 6 months out of the year. Natural training means that you're going in there, you're trying to figure this out, you're trying to figure out different training methods, different diet programs, have done some over-the-counter supplements, some herbs, some creatine. You've hit some plateaus, bust through the plateaus by changing up your training regimen, hit another plateau, bust through that plateau, changing up some of your diet stuff with more training. You know, this is like you've really been at it, making progress, trying to figure it out for 5 to 8 years before you touch the sauce. And if you do that, then those steroid gains are going to be the first 3 cycles, you get some permanent pounds and you'll be good. You'll take full advantage of what those steroids can do for you once you've spent enough time experimenting on yourself to have everything else figured out. That's the main goal. That's what we mean. Now, does that need to happen when you're 30 or not? Ideally, it would happen after 25, around 30. You know, and if you were like me that started lifting weights at 13, you would still wait until you're well over 25, 30 to hit the sauce. But if you didn't, if you do it younger, earlier on, at least 5 to 8 years of natural, hard training where you're taking your body to the limit, sports through high school, weightlifting in the off season, weightlifting on days off, after school, during college, is just active. And then, you know, when you're an adult, mid-20s, and you've got 5 to 8 years of natural weight training under your belt, then you hit that shit. Then you hit the sauce. But it's a good way to get started on this one.
Yeah, and I'd actually argue, someone argued this with me. They're like, oh, I've been training for 5 years. I'm 18. And I was like, how have you been training 5 years? Like, oh, I started training at 13. I said, no. When you become an adult, then you start counting the years you've been training. When do you become an adult? I guess legally 18, you're an adult, but really 21. I mean, you can't even go on a cruise without someone older than that at that age. You can't rent a car at that age. You know how? So really, technically, in my mind, you're not an adult. There's a reason you can't rent a car at that age. It's because the insurance company can't insure you. The rental car insurance company won't want you driving their cars because you don't have the experience, the life experiences. The same thing with steroids. So it's very important that you wait as long as possible before you run steroids. But without further ado, guys, we're going to talk about the 4 steroids that we came up with, Rick and I came up with, that are good newbie steroids. The first one is going to be Anavar. Now, Anavar is a good one for both females and males. Anavar is mild. It doesn't have androgenic side effects. Very, very little. It is a little tough on the liver, as most all anabolic steroids are. It is liver toxic because it is 17 alpha alkylated. So you need to be careful of your liver. If you have existing liver issues, you really need to monitor your blood work like a hawk. And you want to run the N2 the liver support, with it. But Anavar, at the end of the day, you could run as a male 40, 50 milligrams a day of VAR. As a female, you can run anywhere from 5 to 15 milligrams a day of the VAR. And you get nice, mild results. And it's not going to give you a tremendous amount of side effects. As a male, it's still going to shut you down. All anabolic steroids do. So you will need a PCT with it. But it's not going to cause other issues. It's not going to cause estrogenic side effects. It's not going to cause androgenic side effects, too many androgenic side effects. And even though it's a DHT derivative, it's not going to cause a tremendous amount of DHT side effects because of the way it's structurally made. So in our review, Anavar is a good one. You could run just Anavar by itself for 5 or 6 weeks and get really good mild results as a first cycle, as a newbie. The drawback to Anavar is it's very expensive. So you want to keep that in mind. If you are using it, it's going to cost you some money. It's going to be 3-4 times more expensive than Tbol, which is a very similar steroid and also in my mind, a good newbie steroid. So that's kind of an honorable mention. We'll give Tbol an honorable mention. We're not going to discuss Tbol in length, but we're going to give an honorable mention. But I've run Anavar before. Very, very mild. Didn't notice any side effects on it. And, I was happy with it. It's a really cool steroid, but you want to make sure with Anavar, this is a big one, especially for females. You want to make sure you get legit Anavar. If you get fake Anavar and it's something else, that can really screw you up. So those of you out there who've run Anavar and you're shaking your head right now, both male and female, you're shaking your head. You're like, Steve, this stuff had side effects. It screwed me up. You most likely, I'm 99% certain, did not run legit Anavar, because Anavar is very widely fake. So in that respect, it may not be a good newbie steroid because it's hard to find legit Anavar. But if you can find legit Anavar, it's a very, very good newbie steroid. Tell us your thoughts, Rick, on Anavar.
Anavar is just steroid on training wheels. You don't need an anti-estrogen with it. You don't have to worry about hair loss. You don't have to worry about much with it. You are going to get some suppression, and it is going to wreck your lipid profile, your cholesterol. Over time, it will wreck it. It does have some good static effects and some good long-lasting muscle effects as well. You don't have to worry about taking anti-estrogen with it or finasteride or your prostate. I mean, you don't have to worry about much with it. It's a great newbie steroid. I would definitely think it should be the first cycle for many people. Also, it's the only steroid any women should be taking at all. It's a nice, solid, very low side effect, very mild steroid. I like it. I vote, thumbs up on it, especially for newbies. Especially for noobs, it could and maybe should be the second or third cycle for anybody. The first one being testosterone, obviously, in my opinion, for newbies. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say about Anavar, man. Good steroid. And it is mild, but if you're talking about someone that's never used androgens before and those androgen receptors are nice and clear, they'll be really happy with the results they get from it.
All right, guys. So the second one we're going to talk about today is Primobolan. Now, Primobolan, I have to echo right off the bat also what we said about Anavar, Rick, in that Primobolan, if you've ever run Primobolan, both as a male and female, and you got side effects on Primobolan, I can 99% guarantee you that you got fake Primobolan because it's another heavily fake steroid. These steroids are expensive, okay? So sources, you can blame them or not, but at the end of the day, they are trying to save money. So they may use a poor supplier or a poor raw supplier, and they end up producing really bad Primobolan. And it's end up something else. It could be Deca. It could be Test. It could be, anything. They could put in anything instead of Primo just to save a buck. And then you're going to start noticing side effects. And you're like, why am I getting gynecomastia on Primo? It doesn't make any sense. Primo does not produce androgenic or estrogenic side effects. So your blood pressure won't skyrocket on Primo. Your heart health won't go to shit on Primo. Your cholesterol won't go so bad on Primo. You shouldn't get gynecomastia on Primo. You can't get gynecomastia on Primo. It doesn't aromatize. You should not get bloat. You should not get water retention. You should not get insomnia. All these side effects, acne, you should not get that. And even though it's a DHT derivative, just like Anavar, you shouldn't get DHT side effects because of the way it's structurally made. You shouldn't get prostate problems. You shouldn't lose your head hair on it. Maybe a little, but not to the extent of some of these other steroids. So if any of that stuff is happening, you're very likely getting fake Primo. So it's very important to find a legit source for Primo and get the real stuff. And again, just like Anavar, it is really expensive to find legit Primo. And Rick, even in your situation, if you're overseas, you're not going to find Primo because it's not available, very, very common. Even in countries where steroids are legal, you're still going to end up with fake Primo because it's going to be hard to find legit Primo even in those countries. So, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to get. But at the end of the day, if you find legit Primo, guys, as a male, 400 or 500 milligrams a week. As a female, 50 milligrams a week. It should not give you side effects, and it should be it's a safe steroid just to run as a male. Literally, you can run it by itself for 10 or 12 weeks and get good results, good, clean results. Primobolan was the one that Arnold loved back in the day, in the 70s. It was said that he ran about 500, 600, 700 milligrams a week of Primo. That was his favorite steroid to run. So, it's a really, really good steroid, but it's not going to blow you up like some of these other steroids. When we talked about the strength steroids, the bulking steroids in the previous podcast, that is not what Primo does. So if you want to gain 10, 15 pounds on a cycle and add 30 pounds to your bench, it's not going to happen on Primo. It's not going to happen. And a lot of guys don't get it. A lot of guys don't get that concept. They think, Primo's a waste of money because I'm not getting results on it. It's not that it's a waste of money. It's that it doesn't do what these other steroids do. It's more of a steroid that you run. It's quality gains. It's lean muscle gains. The gains that you get on Primo are quality gains. It's legit gains. So, in my opinions, because it's so mild, it's a pretty good newbie steroid. What do you think, Greg?
Very mild, very side effect free, very hard to get. Very hard to get good legitimate versions of it. You do need a high enough amount to see some results. But man, does it work great in a caloric deficit. Man, does it help you build that lean mass that you can keep for weeks and weeks and months, maybe years. Good steroid, like Steve said, doesn't aromatize, no need for an NTE. It can knock a little bit of hair out, mainly on any females that mess with it. But most guys will be okay with it as far as the hair goes. It's just a good all-around steroid. Hard to get legitimate versions of, but if you can find it, if you can get it, you'll be really happy, man. It's the way to go with it.
All right, buddy. So I'm going to let you take the next one because you're a big fan. Equipoise. That's one of your favorites. Tell the listeners about why you think it's a good newbie one.
EQ's a nice steroid. It does aromatize, but doesn't cause the estrogen issues that you see out of things like Dianabol, some of these other steroids. The worst side effect I've ever gotten on EQ was just a little bit of back acne. It is longer lasting. So if you were having some trouble with it, you're going to be in for a long ride until it leaves your system because it could be 4 to 6 weeks before it does. It's just very mild. I don't find myself needing anti-estrogen unless I go about 400 or 500 mgs a week. I don't see it doing anything detrimental as far as estrogen goes. It's just a really good all around, very simple, very cheap steroid, easy to find. Unlike Primobolan, that's very hard to find legitimate versions of. Unlike Anavar, that's widely faked by sources. EQ is just a great steroid that's very easy to find good versions of. You can pay a little bit of more money than going from underground and go to veterinarian labs and buy it from a vet lab that actually is overseen by some governing body. That stuff works great. There's enough I can say about it, man. It just works great, works all around. If you do get a little bit of estrogen side effect from it, from running a little bit high, aromacin works great. Arimistane works great. Just use either of those. Arimistane being over the counter. And you'll be side effect free in a day or two. Just a really good steroid for all around use. And I think it's a great newbie steroid. Not a lot to worry about, not a lot of side effects to be concerned about. It's all pretty straightforward. Maybe keep a little bottle of anti-estrogen in your drawer and pull that out whenever you have an issue. That's about it.
Yeah, the nice thing about EQ, if you're an active person, this is the one steroid that you can actually run. As a newbie who likes to do a lot of outdoor stuff, you like to mountain bike, you like to hike, you like to take the dog for long walks, you like to go swimming. You like to, do some hot yoga, Bikram yoga, very, very, very cardiovascular. You like to jog, you like to run, all this stuff. This is a good one for you because the EQ won't mess with your cardio. It'll actually benefit your cardio because it'll raise your red blood cell count. So you'll be getting more oxygen through your blood, but it's not going to give you the side effects. It's not going to give you the pumps. It's not going to give you the strain on the heart. It's not going to give you the strain on the liver as much, a strain on the kidneys as much. Very, very mild steroid. So if you're a newbie who likes to do a lot of active activities, this one is a good one for you. This is for you guys. The EQ is definitely for you. And I'd run somewhere between 300 and 500 milligrams a week. You can run it solo, or you can run it with a little test. It's up to you. But nothing wrong with running it solo. And it's a really good one. If you run it by itself, you most likely in 90% of situations, 95% of situations, you won't even need an AI because it aromatizes a very, very slow pace. So the estrogen that does get aromatized in the body is such a slow rate that it will get kicked right back out. So, it's a good one for sure for if you're a newbie. So the fourth one we're going to talk about is straight testosterone. And testosterone, guys, is the most commonly run anabolic steroid. Even if you're a vet, even vets, they'll run a TRT dose in a cycle. They run 500 milligrams a cycle. Some guys even run more, 1,000 in a cycle. They're at higher levels. And testosterone is both androgenic and estrogenic. So it is going to come with a lot of side effects. But again, like I said at the beginning, when you run anabolic steroids, they are all serious side effects. Yes, they come with serious side effects. They shut you down, including testosterone. Yes, testosterone will shut you down. That's how it works. So if you're going to make the decision to use anabolic steroids and you say, you know what, I'm going to run the standard 500 milligram a week testosterone cycle, you have to remember that this is a serious decision. Testosterone will shut you down and shut you down hard. It will, because it's going to signal your pituitary glands to stop producing its own hormones. So you need to be prepared when you're running testosterone. You need to have your N2 guard on cycle. You need to have your aromatase inhibitor, the aromasin or Arimidex, on hand. You need to be running it from day one, most of you. You need to have a PCT in place. And you need to be running blood work before and after cycle to make sure everything is going good. You may even have to run blood work on cycle to make sure that you are controlling your estrogen as you should. If you run testosterone blindly and you don't do anything properly, you can end up at the end being fitted for a bra because you're going to get gynecomastia. You could in the end be put on like 10, 15, 20 pounds of water. You'd be like a bloated fish. You could end up seriously damaging your skin from acne. You could seriously damage your heart because you strain your heart. There's a lot of things that can go wrong by not running testosterone correctly. So don't think, oh yeah, it's testosterone. Everyone runs testosterone. It's an easy cycle. I don't have to really do anything. I just run 500 milligrams of testosterone. No, it's a serious, serious cycle. So, but this is the most cookie cutter first cycle out there, Rick, is 500 milligrams of testosterone a week using either enanthate or cypionate, which are long esters. That's the most cookie cutter cycle that we see guys recommend on the forums. But the ironic thing is, it is a harsh cycle, but people don't understand that and they get themselves into trouble. So, yeah, be careful and be smart. Rick, anything you want to add?
Testosterone is the hormone that we've had in our body since we were born. It's very predictable. We know what it's going to do. We already know what drugs to use with it. If you use a low enough amount, you won't need any other drugs. Your body will receive it and utilize it just fine. I mean, testosterone is the truth. I think everybody's first cycle should be 200 mg of testosterone a week just to get your feet wet, just to get started. That alone, obviously, with hard natural training, good, just keeping an eye on your body and the way it reacts to everything, and just knowing what you need to be taking. I mean, testosterone is the original steroid. It's the truth. I mean, it's the one I definitely would use as a newbie just to get started. Perfect little steroid.
All right, guys. So that pretty much sums it up for newbie steroids, guys. We're going to have a new class of steroids coming next week. We'll keep it going. For Stevesmi and Rick, this has been another episode, number 374. We will talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.
Have a good one, Steve. Have a good one, Gas.
Guys, this is the required legal disclaimer. We are only sharing our experience from years of steroid use. We are not doctors, and none of what we say should be regarded as medical advice. Always check with your doctor before taking any drugs or starting any training program.